Hi, and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world right now. I hope you're feeling a little bit better after, how do I describe it? It was a pretty poor performance by Arsenal. A lot of things went against us. I thought we started off the game pretty well against Manchester City. And, we were hanging in there. We were doing okay. And first of all, Xhaka gets injured. Big blow because he's been solid for Arsenal. And we now know that it looks like he's going to be out for at least, quite a few weeks. And then Mari gets injured. And the news is not good on Pablo Mari. It looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season, which for a guy that, he must be so depressed right now because, he's come on loan and, he was doing all right in that game. And now he's out for the season. And then after that, I don't need to tell you the rest, do I? David Luiz comes on and puts in an absolute shocker. The first goal was beyond belief. I mean, my son was doing some football training last night. We were talking about it and we were saying, if he made that mistake in a game, I'd be cussing him. My son, 11, I don't know what he was thinking of. It was a dreadful mistake. And then he goes and gets himself sent off after that with another poor, bit of decision making and play. That's the second time he's been sent off in a big game like that. He got sent off for Chelsea doing exactly the same thing. Got sent off against, he gave away a penalty like that against Liverpool. Just terrible. Really, really poor. And, we ended up losing the game by 3-0. So where do we go from here? Well, what it is, we haven't got time to moan. We haven't got time to sulk because we've got another game. They're coming thick and fast. And we've got another game. And that game is against Brighton tomorrow, 3 o'clock kickoff. First ever 3 o'clock kickoff to be shown live in the Premier League. So that's going to be interesting. So no time to be crying over it. We got to get back on it. And Mikel Arteta, yesterday, he had a press conference. Obviously, they're doing all these press conferences now by Zoom. So he kind of was quite a late press conference. And he had some very interesting things to say. He was asked on quite a lot of the topics that people have been discussing. And Arteta, with a lot of interesting things to say at that press conference. And I wanted to just go through a few of those things that he had to say. Let me just scroll through quickly. The first thing that was quite interesting was him talking about David Luiz. He backed David Luiz. He said, he said it was a mistake he made and stuff like that, but he basically backed David Luiz. He also went on to say that, because they were asked about the contract situation with David Luiz, and this is a big issue. What's going to happen with the contract of David Luiz? We all know that actually it runs out at the end of June. Arsenal are yet to even extend it beyond then, and then they've got this option where they can extend it until the end of the season. Now, he's basically said that the club has not made a decision yet on what is going to be happening, with David Luiz. So he was actually asked a question: do you think David Luiz has played his last game? And his quote was, "I don't know. He's very open. He's a man. He's a leader." And I was sure he was going to speak in front of everybody. You hear what he said. He was very direct with us too. That's what I value from him. That's what I like from him. But at least we need to be fair with him. Me personally, I'm going to defend him with everything I have because I believe in him. He has shown me a lot of things in this time, and his career speaks for itself. So Mikel Arteta saying all the right things, in defense of his player, but not really answering the question. What is going to happen, with David Luiz? Will David Luiz be signing a new deal, which will keep him at Arsenal till next season? or has he possibly played his last game because he's suspended for Brighton? Could that be the last we've seen of David Luiz? So, you know, that was really interesting to find out. The other thing on the David Luiz situation is, of course, he's out for the game. Pablo Mari's out. You know, we've got a bad situation now at the back. You know, Socrates is still injured. He'll be out of the game, so he's not going to be able to come back in. So we've got a bit of an injury crisis at the back. We've only got Mustafi and Rob Holding, who are going to be fit as centre-back. So, again, a big blow for Arsenal. And Brighton have got a fully fit team rearing to go. So, it's huge. He was also asked a question about Mesut Ozil. Now, again, this, another one. Another Mesut Ozil discussion point, as we always seem to be talking about this guy. Will he be playing? Won't he be playing? Why hasn't he played? Yet again, it's another one of those subjects that come up. And this is what he said about Mesut Ozil. He said, I've been very open with Mesut from day one. Since I joined, I think that he was fit and he was willing and he wanted to perform at the level that he can do. He's played every game with me before City, so that's it. The moment I see he's ready to play, ready again to do that, I will treat him like anybody else. I've been more than fair with him, and I think he's responded in many games the way I want, and that's it. Again, he didn't really, he kind of skirted the question again, really. Why did he play? Now, is it that he wasn't fit? And again, I find that hard. You know, you guys been training and all that, and there was 9 substitutes on the bench. 9. We can use 5 subs. He didn't even make the bench. Is he that unfit that not even the bench? You know? So, you know, very, 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 very surprising. He was asked, how did Ozil react when you told him that he weren't going to be playing? And Arteta said, very well with me. And there were no issues at all. But I suppose he's going to, he wouldn't have said, oh, he got really mad and threw something at me. Or no, I couldn't see Ozil doing that. But, you know, very interesting situation again. What is happening with Mesut Ozil? I was saying, me and DT did a podcast and I was saying on it, you know what, I'm starting to get to the situation where I feel maybe we just pay this guy up, man, and just let him go and do his thing somewhere and we do our thing, because, you know, it's just not good for anybody when you've got these situations before a game, and before a game, you know, we don't know what's happening with one of our star players. Is he playing? Is he not playing? Why is he not playing? You know, it's just not a good situation. He was asked about Eddie and Nketiah. He's saying that, you know, Eddie and Nketiah has been doing really well. His comments were, I want him to keep doing what he's been doing. The way he played last night against those players in those difficult conditions, for me, was extraordinary at his age. I wouldn't say extraordinary. He was an immense personality to play, confidence. He's powerful and he's developing in every area. I have a lot of faith in him, so he's still going to be keeping faith in Eddie. But was that the right decision for Eddie to start in a game like that? You know, again, that was one of the big questions. And then another one of the interesting questions he was asked in a press conference: do you think the current situation means that we won't see too many big transfer fees and contracts? And these are his, what he said. He says, I think there is a lot of uncertainty in how the transfer market is going to look. You hear very different things, and people are going to go all in. Clubs are already spending a lot of money, and others may be much more conservative and wait to assess the situation before they move. Our position at the moment is that we have to see and be cautious. Our ambition is still intact, and I know from the owners that their ambition is still intact as well. We will try and do our best to improve the squad, maintain the players we want to maintain, and move forward. We want to maintain and move forward, and hopefully that includes getting Aubameyang signed up and Saka signed up, which we've been told is close. and then getting a couple of signings in. I felt everybody could see clearly the other night that defence is a major, major problem. And he was asked, you know, will you have an advantage over Brighton from already having played behind closed doors? He says, I think to talk about advantages now is not very important. We are all adapting. The experience from last night is very strange. From the moment you travel, how you get to the stadium, the feelings you have during the warm-up, during the game is completely different. We are all adapting. We experienced yesterday, and we can talk about the things that we needed to raise the level of motivation as well and sustain. And but I don't think it's going to be too big an issue. So some of the takeaways from Mikel Arteta's press conference there. I don't know what you guys made of the press conference, and what are you guys made of the game, and can we bounce back? We haven't got a lot of time. We're going to have to bounce back very, very quickly. But, you know, Dano Jr. saying, everyone's saying he raised a white flag is a fool. Are you talking to me here? Of course, right. In the I didn't say we raised the white flag. What I said is what DT was proposing, what DT was talking about. When we were doing the podcast, watch the podcast and you get the general idea. But basically, DT, I was asking the question, why didn't we bring on Pepe? Why didn't we bring on all these guys? DT was saying, basically, the game's dead at 2-0. Forget it. Let's just concentrate on Brighton. I don't like that attitude. I want Arsenal to be still fighting until, you know, I can understand that if there's like 10 minutes to go. But there was still nearly a full half to go. And I just felt that, you know, we didn't create anything in that game. We had no shots on target. And that was very worrying to me when I see all the attacking talent that we have. I just couldn't understand why we did, you know, but that game is gone now. That game is dead. So, you know, we have to move on. Let's get some of your comments. I'm really interested to find out what you guys how you guys are feeling ahead of Brighton. Dr. Virar says, hi, Rob. Hope you're doing all right. No, not after that performance. Do you think the Ozil pay cut incident has got something to do with him not being a part of the squad yesterday? That's a great point. I actually thought about that as well. I was thinking, did that have something to do with it? But then if it had, why has he been training and all stuff like that? I think they would have would have made it more clear and obvious. They wouldn't have had him training and then just dropped him at that game. You know, I think that would be very evil to do that. But I did think that, you know, one of the few players that didn't take a pay cut, did they sort of look on him and say, well, you know, we're going to consider you last because you didn't consider the rest of the team. Who knows? It's just not a great situation. Carmen's Jr. says maybe play Nketiah in a 2-striker formation with him and Aubameyang up front. He cannot play as a lone striker. I agree with you. He's not experienced enough yet to play as a lone striker. And this is what I had a problem with the other night. What I couldn't understand, why we started Lacazette. I understand that, you know, the tactics was to try and get the balls in behind with him using his pace, and he's good at pressing as well. But the ball didn't stick. You know what I mean? And if the ball doesn't stick against a team like City, that means they're coming straight back at you. Tactics didn't work to me the other night. Bajano says, hey, Robbie, don't you find it a bit ironic how DT cries about players' weak mentality, but it accepts defeats and defends Arteta's losing tactics? Thoughts? Well, that's all I'll say. It's his opinion, you know. I always respect DT for his opinions, man. He's got his opinions. I just didn't agree with what he was saying about, you know, just getting, you know, game's dead just after half-time, movie City, move on. Nah, that's not. I don't want to see that from Arsenal. I want to see them having a go, you know. Dano Jr. says, Curtis said it. I never call you a fool, Rob. No, I was only joking. Even if you call me a fool, I don't take things to heart. He says, if you want a fight, then get a player who can put up a fight. No matter who played, Arsenal aren't better. It was a poor performance. Let's have it right. But let's hope that's just blowing off the cobwebs and we can improve. This guy's probably a Chelsea fan. Timo Blood, Clark Leonard. Stop copying our things, by the way. That 2000 reboot Chelsea loading. Stop copying out. Get your own phrases. Yeah? It's just Werner. Right. Sachin says, typical Arsenal fans already turning on an Arteta. Who's turning on Arteta? This is ridiculous. Nobody's turning on Arteta, but you've got the right to criticize. You don't just say, oh, yes, everything's fine. Yes, Arteta, I mean, even himself will be questioning whether he got his tactics right the other night. No one's turning on him. We know that he's got crap defenders right now that he needs to change, right? So nobody's turning on him, but I just look on that game the other night, like, well, we did not one shot on target in the whole game and barely any shots at all. That's not good enough. End of. And you know what I mean? I don't care if it's Pep Guardiola, Arteta, or Jurgen Klopp. That is the truth. That was not good. It doesn't mean you're turning on the person. It just means that you're saying, come on, man, that weren't good enough. End of. Mr. Alex 070 says, hi Rob, why do you think we didn't see the mighty Pepe play? Again, I was baffled by that. I was baffled, you know? But in fairness to Mikel Arteta, he's seen these guys on the training pitch, so he'll know how up for it they are. But it's just strange. You've got a £75 million player. He's not playing. It's a big game against City. You've got a 350 grand a week player. He's not playing. You've got 180 grand a week player in Lacazette. He ain't playing. It's strange. Shifter says, no midfield, no chances, so no shots on goal is the cause of very little chances we created. I know the one thing, watching that game the other night, I think it's clear to see that we do need signings. And interesting what Arteta was saying there, we need signings. We're weak at the moment in our team. The team needs a lot of strengthening in the summer, or should I say at the end of the season. Lars says, was there anything positive about the game besides Leno? Well, Leno was the positive. Had it not been for Leno, it could have been very, very embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing. And Leno is proving himself every week to be an absolutely brilliant player. But apart from Leno, you're right. I don't see any. I'll tell you what, Kieran Tierney, I thought did all right as well. They were my two positives from the game. I thought Leno and Kieran Tierney were positives. Everything else, if I all right. We're not going that far, mate. Adam the Human says, Arsenal fans still worried about Aubameyang's contract. You guys are worried about the wrong Pierre. God, here they go. Here they go. MQ says, hi, Robbie. What do you think of giving Medley a chance? If he makes mistakes, he will learn from them, unlike other players, and it's a chance for him to develop. I don't think at the moment is a chance to throw in another youngster to develop. You know, I don't think that, not right now. I'd love to see him come through, but he can only come through if he's ready, because it's, you know, it's a tough situation now at the defense, you know. Surav Singh says we should go for Stefan de Vrij because we need a defender who's experienced and has years ahead. We need to invest, otherwise Saliba would not be able to develop playing alongside clowns. Oof. And this guy says, hi, Robbie, love AFTV shows. The only way to sell Ozil is still paying 60 to 70% of his wage. Nobody going to get Ozil on such a huge wage. Pepe has to start with Aubameyang and Saka. Yes, listen, we're going to be doing some previews of the game later on, so make sure you check that out. We're going to be doing some starting 11s as well. I think the starting 11 situation is going to be really, really interesting to see. Sealy or Slee Sean says, I can't believe a baby coach like Lampard sold Luiz for the flop he is. An experienced coach like Emery bought him in after selling him back to Chelsea. Yeah, maybe it wasn't Emery's decision. That's the thing about it. We don't know. Asher 2 says, hello, Robbie. Emery didn't want wanted Pepe, and now Arteta, I think, favours Reece Nelson more than Pepe. I think Pepe should work hard sometimes. His decision making is really poor, but a talented footballer. But I would still be playing him ahead of Reece Nelson right now. You know, he'd been doing all right. I mean, I don't know what sort of shape he's in at the moment, but it was just a strange one. So I'm not saying even him starting, I can understand, but I'm not. No. Connor MC says, how's it going, Robbie? Will you be doing another live watch along similar to the City game for Brighton on Saturday? Really enjoyed seeing your live reactions. Yes, we will be doing that. We'll be doing that for every game from now till the end of the season. And if there's a reduction in the 1 meter, from 2 meters to 1 meters in social distancing, we might be able to have more people in. But at the moment, it will be as it is, 2 meters apart, socially distanced, lots of hand sanitizer. Christian says, hi, Robbie. Ozil is so disrespectful towards the club. He was only 2 to 3 years ago idol to the younger ones. But now, if I was Willock, I don't know how I'd feel when one of the players I looked up to is doing this. But what did he do? We don't know what's happened. We don't know if it's Ozil. We just don't know what the situation is. They haven't really said, to be fair, and I suppose they're not gonna say, what I mean, they're gonna keep it in house. So, Mr. Cat 5 says, Robbie, don't you think it's better we lost by only 3-0, since goal difference will affect our final position, considering how tight the top 8 is at the moment? Listen, we lost. What goal difference are we? Only lost 3-0 or not 5-0. I mean, Jesus, if we're thinking that way right now, we really have problems. Afam says, hi, Robbie. Arsenal's problem isn't actually their defence or attack. It's the midfield. Wednesday showed what your midfield wins you games. Yeah, but if the defence is the problem as well. The defending was shocking, absolutely shocking. Well, it was one guy really, but it was just not acceptable. That was not Premier League level defending. It really weren't. If you saw that in League 2, you'd be like, bloody hell, they're terrible down there. It was terrible. Triple E says, disappointed to lose, but it was expected. I've always said City was a free hit. Brighton is a must-win, and we have a must-win as we have a more embarrassing record. It was a free hit, but it was it was a game that you don't want to get embarrassing. To me, I still look on that, and again, me and DT was having a bit of back and forth about that. He was saying you don't want to get embarrassed. We were embarrassed. We were embarrassed. 3-0, didn't have a shot on target. And had it not been for Leno, it could have been 5 or 6. That's embarrassing for a big club like Arsenal. Stefan says, in hindsight, last summer was one of the worst windows for this club has had. Spent all our money on the wrong positions, then signed Luiz to paper over the cracks. That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, we spent our money in the wrong positions, and we are paying the price for it. The defending has been very, very poor. Bob Marley says, hi, big man, watching all guns blazing. If Wenger had done what Arteta did, sit back, etc., DT would criticise him. People said you can't walk forward against Wilder. City's defence is weak. You can attack. A great point. Great point. When Tyson Fury was fighting Wilder, and I know it's a different sport, that's exactly what they said. You can't go forward against this guy. This guy will knock you out. Look at his knockout record. Tyson Fury was brave, went for him, and not only won, he won easily. Easily. And sometimes you've got to be a bit braver. I didn't think the team selection was right the other night. I'm still 100% behind Mikel Arteta. Managers are going to get it wrong, but he got it wrong, in my opinion. David Cav says the lineup was not right. Listen, I agree with you on that. A says we need to sign Marquinhos. Leader, experience, good age, plays centre back, right back, CDM, fits in with all the Brazilians. They're not going to sell him, though, are they? John C says, Laurie said he'll be happy with a draw. Honestly, I think confidence of the team will be rock bottom. I hope he's not saying that's my brother, Laurie. If he said happy with a draw against Brighton, nah, we have to win that game. We have to win. It's going to be tough because we've not beaten Brighton at Brighton for a long time, but we need to win that game. You know, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, you know. It was always going to be tough against City, but a morale boosting draw or even a close defeat where we really did well, but I just didn't think we never turned up. Karan says, Robbie, you know for a fact that we're not good enough to play our style against City. They have £500 million squad full of superstars. I think what Arteta said was perfect. Delete this game. We can take nothing from this. You're right. Delete the game, but we're still talking about it. It's still, and that is still going to be in the memory of some of the players. And if we start off that game and it doesn't go well, it's going to be in the memory, right? Norwich are not better than, you know, Manchester City. They beat them. They played much better. Manchester United beat City just before the break, right? Pretty comprehensively. And we've beaten United this season and drawn with them, right? Manchester City are an unbelievable team. And yes, they do have a £500 million squad, but they're not invincible, right? I just feel, and I wasn't expecting us to win the game. Look at all my previews and that. I thought we could get a draw, but it's not really the defeat. It's more, I don't think we made a good account of ourselves. And a lot of that was to do with David Luiz, you know, with his shocking defending. And some of that did have to do with a bit of the injuries, the unluckiness we had with injuries as well. We were very unlucky with that, without a doubt. But it wasn't, I mean, yeah, delete the game. Joey S says, can you imagine the players of old shutting up shop at 2-0 down with 10 men? No chance. In order to compete with the best, we have to have a winning mentality regardless of the circumstances. What we showed again when we were down to 10 men against Chelsea, right? Which is why so many people were proud. We didn't win that game, remember? It was only a draw, but we were proud of the performance because of all the fight that they showed in that game. Bison B says, Robbie, if Arsenal go on to win the next 3 games with comfort, the City performance may be due to the restart, along with some bit of fear of City. All clubs aren't going to start blazing like City. Thoughts? No, you're right. Listen, it's football. We move on very quickly in football, and if Arsenal were to win the next 3 games, you know, you're right. You are right about that. We won't even. It will be deleted. But at the moment, it's still fresh in our memory because it just is how it is. It's fresh in our memory. It wasn't a great performance. And we got to do better. You know, we got to do better against Brighton. Brighton's going to be a tough game. And we're going to have to respond. Bob Marley says, do you think we should sign the guy from League One, Yakon and me? I don't really know enough about him. Sorry, Bob. You know, to say, but listen, certainly there's a lot of players in League One, you know, defenders that we could get that are better than what we've currently got. Would you give David Luiz, is anyone out there, would you give David Luiz an extension till the end of the season? Would you give David Luiz next year? Be interesting to find out from you guys, would you? Tan May says, Medley is a good idea here. He will be a good physical presence in our defence. That's exactly what we need. After all, how much worse can it really get compared to what we already have? Medley couldn't have done any worse than what David Luiz did the other day. You know, asking about the contract, Mr. B says yes, but you can see there from his avatar there, he's a Manchester United fan. That's why he's saying that. Don Toki says, hell no. This is about giving Luiz an extra contract. Samps says, no chance. Callum Wilson says no. Eugene says no. No, it's not going great for. Maybe let me ask that question again. Arta says it's time to go. This guy says, Robbie, will you take Silva over Luiz? No, we don't need another old guy over another old Brazilian. No. I think just by looking at some of the comments that are coming in, that the answer is a resounding no. Nobody really would. And would we have said that before that City game? I wonder if we did a poll on it then, before the City game, what the response would have been. How many people would have said, yeah, give him an extra year? Because he was doing all right under Arteta to start off with. But that was a horror show the other day. Sorry, I'm bored from working from home, Bob Marley says. It is boring, mate. It is very, very boring working at home. That's why we're trying to get out and about at the moment. Pav says, that player Bob Marley said didn't exist, don't exist. The man's got to say something. Well, if that's why I've never heard of him. I'm going to do a couple more here. Nana says the board needs to splash. Simple. We do. It's obvious the other night, man. That's obvious that we need, Arsenal need to spend. The defense is shocking. Lars says, give Luiz a new year, but with significantly lower pay. He's better in the games we can. He's better in the games we control the game. That's why he didn't start against City. Personally, I wouldn't give him another year. After the mistake he made the other night, and then I consider some of the other big games we've played this season. It was his error against Olympiacos right at the end of the game, which made them win. It was his error. He got sent off against Chelsea, which cost us any chance of being able to get 3 points in that game. It was his error again, getting spun, which is a thing that happens to him a lot against Liverpool. He's gone. He's obviously a great guy in the dressing room. He's still got some qualities in his passing range and stuff like that. But we need some real, proper, hardcore, solid defenders in the team. And David Luiz makes too many mistakes. So I'd make him see out the rest of this season, extend it until the end of the end of June. Sorry, till the end of July when the season finishes. But after that, I would be no, I wouldn't be. Mr. Leon VWF says transfers don't excite me ever at Arsenal. We paper the cracks, not progress as a football club, and anyone we do get with quality, we can't keep. You can't argue with that, can you? Our transfers, forays have been quite shocking. Dan says, hi, Robbie. I cannot understand why Martinelli did not get any game time. Also, can you shout out Snap Lads for my mates? All the best. Snap Lads, big up. Again, that's another one that really, really baffled me. All right, Lacazette hasn't been on the greatest form. Why is Martinelli not playing? Why? What? It's Nketiah ahead of Martinelli. I would have changed it after a while. I would put a Aubameyang down the middle and brought a Martinelli, put him on the left-hand side. What? It baffled me. But let's hope, those players will be fresh for the game against Brighton, and we could, maybe those guys can step up and do something in that game. And Dan Spencer says, hey, Don Robbie, did you see the incident with the referee, Mike? Are you talking about that incident in the previous game, the Sheffield United game? That was, you can't even blame the referee. And let me do this one. Madopi says, Robbie does not read Twitch comments. I read all comments from all platforms on here. So there is no, Twitch lives matter too. Right, so we will always be reading Twitch. Adam says, "Yo, Robbie is a G." Thank you very much. Listen, we've come to the end of the show. Just wanted to get your opinions on the press conference and see how you're feeling. But we move on. It's all about the Brighton game now. Look out, we've got some great videos coming out previewing that game. Also, if you would like to send in your comments on the game, your match reactions, your reactions to watching the game tomorrow against Brighton, send it to us at aftvcontent@gmail.co.uk. That's aftvcontent@gmail.co.uk. And the best ones we were going to put into a video, right? So please get involved. It's all about you guys. You know what I mean? I like the way you guys have been supporting us right throughout this whole coronavirus crisis. And we want to get as many of you guys involved as possible. So thanks for watching. Lots of videos coming out today. We've got the Bias Premier League show coming out. We've got the preview to the Brighton game from Brighton. All right, so make sure you check it out here on AFTV. And let's hope we can step up tomorrow.